Do you know what's really stressful? Running late. When we manage our day to include what I call the luxury of time, everything runs much more smoothly and it's so much easier to remain calm, centered, and pleasant to be around. This takes planning, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So like I said, it takes planning to be on time. What that plan includes is a buffer. Here's what I mean. Let's say dinner is at 6 p.m. and the stuffed peppers you've made need 1 hour to cook. Let's say you've gone through the trouble of prepping your meal in advance and all you need to do is pop the pan in the oven and let them heat for an hour. To do this, you can't head to the kitchen at 5 p.m. and expect the peppers to be ready to serve at 6. You have to stop whatever you're doing, turn the oven on, check what temperature you need to set the oven if you don't remember offhand, and let it preheat. If you haven't made them several times before, you'll want to leave even a little bit more time just in case they're not fully cooked in the allotted time. Once they're done, you'll want a few minutes to let them set when they come out of the oven. You've got to plate them and get them to the table. It's impossible to do that in an hour if they need an hour to cook. I start the process at least 15 minutes beforehand. If they happen to be done early, it's a lot easier to keep something warm for a few minutes than to will it to cook faster. I know, because I've tried. Here's another example. If you have to be somewhere at 3 p.m. and your GPS says it takes 15 minutes to get there, if you leave the house at 2:45, you're probably going to be late. You have to exit your home, get to the car, turn it on, back it out, and get on the road. This all takes time. The 15 minutes on your GPS is actual drive time from address to address, and it doesn't allow for hitting every single red light, for being stuck behind a slow driver, for parking or getting yourself physically from your car to where you're supposed to be. The amount of buffer time is going to vary depending on where you live and where you're going. If you live in an apartment building and you have to take an elevator or the stairs to the parking garage, you're obviously going to have to allow more time than if your car is parked 3 feet from your door or on the curb of a quiet street. Or if you live in a quiet town versus a major city. Have you been to this place before? Do you know exactly how to get there, or are you relying on directions? Can you park right in front, or do you have to search for a spot with a parking meter or in a parking garage? When I lived in a small town, I'd leave about 10 minutes early, and when I lived in LA, I'd often head out a half an hour early. It just depends. There's also the time, as my mother used to say, to start moving toward the door. Is it winter time? Do you have to put on a coat, scarf, and gloves? Do you know where they are? Are you certain you'll like how they look when you put them on? Where are your purse and keys? How about that file you absolutely have to take with you? Are they neatly assembled near the door? They should be. Now this may sound really simple to you, and it is simple. Just leave a little early. You'll really appreciate it, and so will anyone you're meeting. If you're not concerned about getting places on time, a little tough love, you may want to expand your focus a bit to include the importance of other people's time. Now, let me tell you a little bit of how I got to be so punctual. When I was a kid, we went to the same place every year. We spent every summer and every vacation there. We had to fly. And at that time, when I was little, we lived in Connecticut and we had to get to JFK. I remember my father giving us the time to be ready, and there was 6 of us kids. We never missed a flight. We were always on time. If my dad said, "We're leaving at 6, that meant you're in the car and the car is physically moving by 6 a.m. We would be all packed and ready to go at least the day before. We'd get up, the clothes we were wearing were already set out and ready to put on, and I still do that today. If my dad said we were leaving at 6, that meant by quarter of, we needed to be in the driveway, sitting on our suitcases, ready to go, because my dad had to load the car and get us on the road, and we always left on time. I remember complaining and even sitting in the pitch dark before the sun came up in our driveway, sitting on our suitcases going, Dad, it's so early. Why do we have to leave this early for the airport? And my father told us every time, because you never know. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. One time, we were on our way to the airport and we got a flat tire. This is an absolutely true story. My dad changed the tire. We got through all the traffic. We were headed to JFK and we got to the airport, ran through the terminal, and we made that flight. And my father, I remember, turned to us and said, with a very satisfied smile on his face, "See, you never know." And that was a very solid lesson I learned. I always leave really early for the airport, and I travel a lot. I have never even come close to missing a flight, and I'm generally calm and smiling and just enjoying the trip. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Liking and commenting really helps my videos out. I would love it if you would subscribe and share it to your playlists. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I'll see you next time.